Let's take a quick instinct test. A teammate misses a deadline. What's your first move? Step in and take charge? Re-energize the team? Stay calm and support them? Or review the workflow? Whichever one you picked, that instinct points to your DISC style. And in this video, we'll show you how the real DISC test works, what each question type is about, and how to answer with confidence. The DISC assessment is a short behavioral test used by companies to understand how you naturally operate, how you communicate, handle pressure, and make decisions. It's not about intelligence. And there are no right or wrong answers. It simply highlights your natural tendencies across 4 traits: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. Dominance is fast, direct, and action-driven. Influence is social, expressive, and people-oriented. Steadiness is calm, patient, and supportive. And conscientiousness is analytical, detail-focused, and structured. Most people are a mix, and that blend shapes how you work and lead. Next, we'll review the 5 primary formats used throughout the DISC assessment. The first format is the classic most-least style. You'll get a short set of statements and choose the one that feels most like you and the one that feels least like you. It's designed to reveal your true preference, even when several options sound relatable. Let's take an example question. Out of the given statements, choose one that describes you the most and one that describes you the least. Pause for a moment and pick your choices. Now let's break down what each choice actually represents. The first statement connects to steadiness. Choosing this as your most suggests you're patient and thoughtful in how you communicate. Choosing this as your least indicates you likely prefer to move faster and more directly. The second statement relates to conscientiousness. Selecting it as your most reflects flexibility and practicality under time pressure, while selecting it as your least shows that structure and follow-through matter more to you. The third statement represents dominance. Picking it as your most suggests you're decisive and comfortable stepping in when things get chaotic. Picking this as your least means you probably prefer shared decision-making. And remember, when we say there are no right or wrong answers, this is exactly why. A negative option isn't bad. It simply highlights a behavior pattern, not a flaw. Next is the simple agree to disagree scale. These questions measure how strongly you connect with a behavior. Nothing tricky here. It's about intensity, not right or wrong. Let's take an example question. Choose the point on the scale that best reflects how much you relate to the statement. Pause for a moment and pick your choice. Now let's understand what each level typically signals. If you chose strongly agree, this would reflect high influence, someone charismatic, enthusiastic, and naturally motivational. If you chose the option agree, you're still warm and engaging, just in a more balanced and steady way. If you landed on neutral, that often means your communication is steady and low emotion, neither overly expressive nor overly reserved. If you chose disagree, you're probably more reserved and practical, putting more focus on substance than persuasion. And if you went with strongly disagree, that suggests an independent style, someone who prefers getting things done without relying on enthusiasm or persuasion. In short, this scale shows how consistently a behavior shows up for you. And that's it. The next format you'll see is the simple this or that choice. You'll get 2 similar statements, and your job is to pick the one that feels more like you in day-to-day situations. Let's look at an example. Read the options given on the screen, pause for a moment, and choose the one that fits you best. Let's understand what your choice would reflect here. If you went with option A, it connects to conscientiousness and suggests that you appreciate structure, order, and having a clear system in place. If you chose option B, it points toward influence, which reflects you naturally connect with people and enjoy communication and collaboration. This format simply helps reveal which tendency feels more natural to you, whether you lean toward process or people. The next format you might come across is the scenario-based question. Here, you'll get a short workplace situation and choose the option that feels most like what you'd naturally do. Not what sounds ideal, and not what you think the test wants to hear. Let's look at an example. Read the scenario, take a moment, and pick the response that genuinely fits how you'd handle it. Now, for this specific example, here's what each option would usually represent. If you chose option A, that aligns with dominance. You take charge quickly, push for results, and aren't afraid to make firm decisions under pressure. If you went with option B, that reflects influence. You motivate the team, bring energy into the situation, and try to rally everyone toward a solution. If you picked option C, that connects to steadiness. You value balance, support overloaded teammates, and look for a calm, reasonable path forward. If you chose option D, that points to conscientiousness. You analyze the system, check the workflow, and look for process improvements before taking action. Scenario questions basically reveal how you naturally lead and respond when things get stressful, which is exactly what DISC is designed to highlight. The last format you might see is the quick word choice question. You'll be given a few single words, and you simply pick the one that describes you best. It's fast, instinctive, and often the most revealing because you don't overthink it. Let's look at an example. Read the words, pause for a moment, and choose the one that feels most natural to you. Now, let's see what your choice here would connect to. If you chose decisive, that links to dominance. Direct, action-driven, and comfortable making quick calls. If you picked understanding, that reflects steadiness. Patient, supportive, and great at maintaining calm in the middle of change. If you went with communicative, that points to influence. Expressive, social, and energized by connecting with others. If you selected systematic, that connects to conscientiousness. Organized, detail-focused, and thoughtful about getting things right. This deceptively simple format captures your first instinct, which often reveals the trait that shows up most naturally in your everyday behavior. And that's how DISC questions actually work. Once you understand the different formats, the test feels less like a mystery and more like a conversation about your natural style. Remember, DISC isn't about being good or bad. It's simply about understanding your behavioral patterns. Now that the formats make sense, let's talk about the smartest way to approach the assessment. DISC doesn't reward perfection. It rewards clarity. Answer honestly, stay consistent with how you act on a typical workday, and don't try to game the test. Your first instinct is usually your real pattern. And if you want more DISC-style practice questions to sharpen your instincts, there's a free set waiting for you in the description.